Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. We have an extra special guest here today. This is Bootsy Collins.
Hey,
Man, it's a treat to have you here.
Oh man, I'm glad to be in the house. My mind's been blown already.
Yeah?
First time here.
Right on.
Always been, reading about the Sweetwater and the gear, but actually to be in the place is like, wow.
It's something,
amazing.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
No place like it anywhere. Did you go on the slide?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah, I'll probably go down the slide right after this.
Before the day's over anyway,
Yeah.
right? So we were talking, man, I got to up my style. 'Cause I'm just not, I'm not
I'm low
competing.
key today.
Yeah, I know.
I'm kind of, this is road gear.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's great. That's great. So there's so much to talk about with you that I'd love to get into, and we only have so much time. So I'm just going to dive right in.
Yeah.
So I just have to ask you, what was it like at 18 years old to suddenly be playing with James Brown?
Oh man. Well, first of all, something we didn't expect. It was like our biggest thing was to meet his actual band that was playing with him at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't even expect to meet him. We would have loved to,
Right.
but it was like he was so, so far, up the pedestal. It's like we'll never meet James,
Right.
But the band, we begin to meet Fred Wesley, Clyde Stubblefield, Maceo. So we got a chance to meet and vibe with them.
Mm-hmm.
So we just go over to the studio just to wait until they come out and, hey, what's happening?
Right.
So we kind of develop a friendship with them, and then that's what kind of led into the meeting with James.
Right.
And when that happened, it was mind blowing. I mean, because at that time, he was like probably, to us, he was like the biggest,
Mm-hmm.
And we never thought we'd wind up playing with him, He sent us out on the road with Marva Whitney, and then first it was Hank Ballard.
Right.
So we were like the band with Hank Ballard. We went out with them first, and then Marva Whitney.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know that James Brown was prepping us to play with him at some point. We didn't know that,
Right.
So he kept that a secret until it was the right time.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I asked that specifically because you've said in interviews that the biggest thing you took away from that experience
Yeah.
was that he had told you that you were too busy with your playing.
Oh, yeah.
And the emphasis on one.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah.
is really interesting to me as I listen to your music through the years and your new record, Worldwide Funk. Some of the songs on there, you have two very specific ways of kind of emphasizing that.
Yeah.
One is you really hit that one,
Right.
along with the
Right.
kick. But the one I find interesting is like in a Snow Bunny, where you don't hit the one. You let the kick have that
Yeah.
one. So you do a run up to it and stop. Talk a little bit about that. How you feel that one and how you place that when you're working on an arrangement and a song.
Well, James Brown kind of explained it like what you were saying. He was telling me I was busy because I was a guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't know nothing about playing bass. I hadn't read up on it because at first I wanted to be a guitar player like my brother Catfish.
Right.
And he was like 8 years older than I. And so it took a while before it sunk in that, okay, you can't play guitar with your brother because he needs a bass player. So that's when I realized I needed to take my guitar and turn it into a bass.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked my brother for 4 strings. That's when I turned my guitar into a bass.
Right.
I took took some of the windings off of the strings, put them into the little guitar holes,
Mm-hmm.
and became a bass. And so I started playing with my brother. And once I did that, I was like, that was the biggest dream of my life, was to, prove to my brother that I was worthy. Because I'm a little young, snotty-nosed kid, and
Sure.
big brothers don't want to deal with that, So he was like, I was the last one he would ever think of asking to play with him. So he was forced to have me, And so once I played with him one time, that's what led to us being together. And that's what led to us recording over at King Records.
Right.
And we got a chance to record with a lot of different people, Arthur Prysock, Bill Doggett, of course, Hank Ballard. So we got a chance to, get into the studio and learn how to be disciplined. So before we even got with James Brown, we were practicing the things that he would take to the hilt.
Right.
So when we actually got with James Brown, and his rap was, "Son, you're too busy. You're playing too many things. I tell you what, if you give me the one," and I was like, okay, well, what do you mean? What is the one? Because somebody tell you, just give me the one. I didn't know what the heck he was talking about.
Right.
He probably didn't know what he was talking about. But, he had this concept of bang, bang, 3, 4, 1, bang, and he wanted me to emphasize that one count, which he said, you can play anything you want to play. Just give me that one, and so that allowed me to understand what he was talking about,
Right.
And then I started doing and playing things around the one, and he started really digging it. It was like, yeah, you got it now. Because he knew I could play a lot of stuff. And I was busy, but playing the one kind of made me come back. It wasn't like you just playing all over the place,
Right.
and it helped me stabilize as a bass player, And so that was the first lesson, I guess, I got that made me lock into, you playing bass now. You are playing the foundation of the song,
Right.
So I had to lock into that, and James Brown was the one that taught me that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So as you hear it, does what the kick drum is doing influence whether you're hitting that with the kick drum or whether you're letting the kick drum have that and you're working on either side of it, or where does that come
Well,
from?
it depends on what I'm hearing on that one. I know where the one is at. That's the whole key.
Sure.
Is knowing where the one is at, and that allows you to either play with it or off of it. So one. So I can play those things after the one,
Right.
or on the 4 and right before the one. But the kick drum is always right there with that. It's always right there.
Right.
And I learned that from James. So normally, you would just play right on the one, but I was hearing all kind of stuff. So it was like, how close to the one can I get? I can purposely play on the one when I'm feeling that.
Right.
But I don't want to be locked into having to play on the one. I know where the one is at. So when you know where the one is at, you kind of play with that feel like you know where it's at. You know that kick drum gonna be, that's gonna be there.
Right.
So once you get that feel, then you can play around with it. But if you don't ever get that feel, it's best to lock into the bang, dun, 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 bang. So that's the one.
Right.
And I took that one that James Brown taught me, I took that over to Parliament Funkadelic, George Clinton.
Sure.
And he took it and ran with it,
Right.
So, James Brown, that was just that was his natural thing. He didn't try to make nothing of it,
Right.
And I never thought of making nothing of it. It just helped me to know where I'm at, and I found out what he liked. It's like, this is where my groove is at. James Brown is like, this is where my groove is at.
Right.
If you can do this for me, everything else is covered. You can play all that other stuff you want, but give me the one.
Right.
And taking that over to George Clinton was probably the best thing I could have ever done, and he just took it and, made us, just emphasize on it, And even the stuff I played drums on, I made sure that one was like, bang, 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 you know? So we made a thing out of it, and everybody else started, you know, picking up on it. So,
Right.
so it was a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that I feel separates your playing from other bass players.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
fact that that you can emphasize the one without even hitting it.
Exactly.
Is a really interesting
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
Now, when you're doing that, and you're subdividing to get, like you said, the end of the 4, or you're coming in on the end of the 1, or even the 16th of the
Yeah.
of the 1. What are you listening to tell you how to subdivide that and where you want to hit that one? Is it the rest of the drum kit? Is it the guitar? Or where is that coming from?
You know, I never actually thought about it, and I never got a question about it until now. But, you know, that's something to really think about. I never thought about it, you know. That's probably the answer, is I never really thought about it. It's just it's kind of like what felt good to James Brown, that feels good to me, but it's something else that feels good to me also.
Right.
So wherever he was at with the 1, it kind of evolved into what I was feeling, you know, and I got that little extra, whatever that is. That what you talking about, I got that extra part,
Right.
which I can't explain, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But it's like, it's a good thing. I've always felt that, you know, just like he felt the 1.
Right.
I learned to feel the 1, and it was easy because, oh, that's what you want. Okay. You know, so I felt that, but I was also feeling this other stuff, this off time, this syncopated stuff, you know, and,
Right.
you know, and those are the things I can't really explain. It just, I guess it depends on the riff I'm hearing and what's been played around me, you know. And because I might be playing off of, you know, like I say, I never thought about it. I might be playing off of something else,
Right.
you know. And if I hear something else, I'm like, okay, I might even adjust what I'm doing, you know. So, yeah, that's a tough question. I'm gonna have to think about that one. Actually, that's a classic question.
There
Wow.
you go. There you go.
Never
Well,
thought of
you know,
it.
it's interesting to me because I've talked to guitar players, and a lot of guitar players I talk to, regardless of the style they're playing, will actually
Yeah.
lock to the hi-hat
Right.
and not so
right.
much the kick drum, whereas a bass player a lot of times will lock to the kick drum.
Right. Right.
But that emphasis on 1, of course, is so unique to what you do.
Yeah.
That it's,
yeah.
I was just curious how you hear that or how you feel that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's, you know, because I was thinking about that. You know, it's like I went back and started thinking like, okay, everything I do, I don't really emphasize the 1 all the time, you know. And then I thought about Sex Machine. You know, it's like do-ba-do-do, you know. So
Right.
do-ba-do. So I come in before the 1, you know.
Right.
And I was saying to myself, like, you know, James liked that. I mean, you know, he liked that. So I don't know, you know, even though he told me to hit, you know, give me the 1, when I played Sex Machine, that's just something I came up with.
Right.
And he liked it. So anything that he would like, you know, I was like, okay, well, you know, it's like either I got away with it or, you know, he just feels like he likes it.
Right. Right.
You know.
I think that's. I had mentioned Snow Bunny off the new record.
Yeah,
And it's the
yeah.
same thing where you don't hit the 1.
Exactly.
But you're leading into it so strongly.
Yeah.
That there's
yeah.
that hole there that makes it really
That you know it's
emphasized.
coming.
Yeah,
Something
it's
is
really
coming,
emphasized.
you
Right,
know,
right.
so-
it's coming in from that end of it rather than right.
Right.
Which is
Right.
really cool.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to develop that feel and be able to work around that, do you recommend that they start out by just playing on the 1 and then build from there, or how do you?
I would say yeah, because that gives you somewhere to start. You know, like here's for instance, like George. You know, when I brought the 1 to him, he couldn't count, so he didn't know where the 1 was.
Right.
It was funny because I never even thought about, you know, because to me it was like really simple, and he couldn't, you know, do like the sections like, okay, we got 8 bars. Do your verse, then 8 bars, and then we got, you know, 8 more bars of whatever it is, you know. And, you know, I say, you ready? He said, yeah, ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 2. And George would come in like, It's like, no, George, hold on, man. Hold on. Now you got 8 bars, okay? You got to start on where the one is at. And he's like, where's the one? He did what I did with James.
Uh-huh.
He didn't know where the one was at. So I had to kind of really working in the studio with him on where the one was at. And I don't think to this day that he locks in on, he knows where the one is at now, but he don't lock in on where it's at when he's coming up with stuff. You know, when stuff in the studio, like we done did a track or something, and he may not know exactly where the one is at.
Right.
You know, so, you know, you kind of have to okay, this is where you start right here. Once he gets that, he got it. You know, but,
Right.
you know, he still sometimes have to, you know, you have to show him, okay, start right here, you know. And, you know, but that's something for musicians usually, you know, they kind of know what measures are, you know, and
Right.
and so that was pretty easy for me to catch up, you know, and then just working with George, it was different. It gave me a chance to kind of work with him on it, you know. It's like, wow, and I didn't know that until years later,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So it was pretty deep.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I think separates what you do is, if I understand it correctly, your technique started out as thumb, then fingerstyle, then you added slap
Right.
later on.
Right.
It seems like a lot of bass players now are starting out playing what I call popcorn bass.
Yes.
And,
yes.
and there's not
yeah.
that thumb drop on the one, and there's not the big emphasis there. Can you talk a little bit about how your technique impacts what you play?
Yeah. Wow. Because when I was coming up, when I started playing bass, a lot of the bass players were playing with their thumb and first finger, or they would just play with their first finger, you know. And that time period kind of went by kind of quick for me because, you know, next thing I know, the new thing was playing with the fingers.
Right.
And I always liked to see upright bass players. You know, they stand there, they had this grace.
Right.
And they just, you know, they did. And I always loved that look, you know. And if you go back and look at my early James Brown days, I would have my Fender Jazz bass, and I'd be playing like this. But you know, what I had always wanted to have that same vibe that the upright bass players had.
Right.
And everybody kind of thought that was so cool, but that's where I kind of, you know, wanted to play upright bass, but when I tried it in school, the bass beat me up.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, nah, I can't do that. I
Right.
can't.
Right.
You know, and plus carrying that mug home, you used to could bring instruments home, right?
Right.
So I couldn't see myself carrying that, you know, because we had to walk, you know, and school was like about 2.5 miles, close to 3 miles, and you know, we had to walk.
Right.
So it was like, I gotta learn how to play something else, man. I got a little clarinet or something I can carry.
Right.
And I wind up playing clarinet, you know, and so, but I still had that, you know, that upright bass mind, you know. It's like, man, that style was just so, you know, and that stayed in for a long time, the finger thing, you know. And then Larry Graham came out with the slap, you
Right.
know, which just took, I mean, it just, you know, it just like, okay, finger style and slap. It's like, there's your choice,
Right.
you know. And it's like, well, you know, you just start embracing stuff. And that's what we did. We kind of embraced the slap. You know, and wasn't a whole lot of people doing it at that time, but you know, that was the one I think that now today, like just all the youth just caught on to it, and they taking it to another level, you know.
Right.
So it's I think bass has definitely evolved because, like I said, when we first started doing it, it was like girls wasn't paying the bass player no attention. You know, it was like we was like the bottom of the totem pole. You know, why you want to play bass? You know, well, I play bass because my brother played guitar and he get all the girls, It's like, nah, that's kind of backwards, man,
You got to get some flash going on.
right. Oh man, but that's how it kind of started out, and like I said, I just had to have an open mind, and the way I had an open mind, I think helped me was those sessions that I had been doing in King. You sit there and you listen to what the producer is telling you. You sit there, you listen to what the artist is telling you, and then you go for it, and so in doing so, that's the way I kind of connect with everything. It's like, it's not, this is how I do it, period.
Right.
If you call me on a session, it's like, okay, what do you want? What do you want me to do?
Right.
And once I developed a style, I was like, what do we want you to do? We want you to do whatever you want to do.
Right.
But most people don't get that. It's like, if you're a session musician, you have to play, what they want.
Right.
And some kind of way I was, kind of blessed not to have to do it exactly the way they wanted to do it, because they wanted to hear what I would do.
Right.
And that was pretty cool for me, because I couldn't read music, and I just played directly by ear. I even lied a few times about, I can read a little music, and I got busted.
Yeah.
I got busted. Would you like to hear that story?
Sure.
Yeah, you would.
I would.
You would. Oh man. Well, James Brown's band leader, who band arranger. I'm sorry. He arranged the strings and the big band horns and songs like Georgia. What was it? Summer. Was it summertime or
Sunny?
Sunny. And Man's World. All these songs that he put the strings and the big horns on. We actually recorded those. Georgia and Sunny, we did those in the studio. So at King Records, and Dave, we had just met him, Dave Matthews. We had first met him, and he loved what the rhythm section. He loved me and my brother Catfish, what we did, all with James and everybody that came in to record. He loved it,
Right.
So it was like, can you guys read? And me and Cat would look at each other, and it's like, oh yeah, we can read, And we were serious, I mean, it was like we wasn't laughing about it. Oh yeah, what you got, And he pulled his music out, because the big band was in there. See, we was on the spot. All the horns was there, string players, and they called us in to do the rhythm,
Right.
So, there we are sitting, got the music stand in front of us. He puts the music there. My brother sitting next to me, he puts the music there. And me and Catfish looked at each other and like, we saying to ourselves, how the hell we gonna get out of this? So he said, are y'all ready? We was looking over the music like we knew what we was looking at. And yeah, go ahead, kick it off. So he counts it off, and they start playing. And me and Cat is like, we like playing like, okay, what's this here? And so he said, we say, hold up, okay, play it down one more time. We just want to make sure we got it, And so he counts it off again. 1, 2, 3. So they kick it off. We still doing the. So they ran the whole thing down, right?
Right.
So then we said, okay, all right, Dave, we got it now. Y'all can play it. But see, what happened was we got a chance to hear the whole song, the arrangement, and somehow we had the ability to play what we wanted to play.
Right.
And at the end of the session, we recorded it. He recorded everything. At the end of the session, Dave said, "Wow, that was incredible." He said, "Man, he said, Boosie and Cat, come over here for a minute." So he took us off to the side. He said, "Man, y'all play some incredible stuff." He said, "But y'all ain't played I wrote." and me and Cat looked at each other and we cracked up.
Right.
We cracked up. And we said, "Yeah, we really can't read." He said, "Oh no." We was like, "But this is what we do. This is what we've been doing." And he's like, "Man, I love it." He said, "I'm not gonna change anything." He said, "If anything, I can help you learn how to at least read chord changes."
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he did. He helped us learn chord changes.
Right.
He took us off to the side. He would, on the bus, he would get with us, and so he helped us, learn the chord changes where we didn't have to read. He said, "I'm glad y'all didn't play what I wrote. What y'all played was what the song needed."
Right.
And so from there we got confidence that, okay, we can really do this.
Right.
So it was a learning. That was a heck of a learning thing, because to get caught in like, "Oh yeah, we can read," man, that was the biggest. And then we didn't even know how to get out of it.
Right.
Yeah,
Once you said it, man.
Oh man. So everybody sitting there,
Right.
and we done said we could read. It's like, man, that feeling was so. It was.
That's awesome. What a great story. But he probably learned something out of that as well, to be a little more write a little less maybe, and let the players kind of put their own personality and thing into it as well. So it probably worked both ways.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
It did. Everything we pretty much did over there was like, it was always both ways. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but usually that's the way the funk works.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really know how it's going to turn out. Everybody just do it.
Right.
And we see what happens.
Right.
That's when you get funked up.
Right.
Right.
Right. It's that spontaneous stuff that really brings it to life.
Yeah, and everybody was just having a great time because it loosens everybody up. And I didn't feel the real benefits of that until George allowed us to get in the studio and just do what we wanted to do.
Right.
So, but James Brown was the beginning of that. He set us up with the ABCs and the discipline and all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, we're Sweetwater, of course, and so we do gear here.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You're obviously a big gear guy. I mean,
Yeah.
the custom basses you have with the 4 outputs and
Yeah.
the 6-foot pedal boards and the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interesting to me that your tone is always very evident, regardless of how big the band is that you're playing with.
Yeah.
Working with a big band like that, it's easy for the bass to get lost.
Right.
Do you specifically tailor things to cut through, or do you have an approach to that?
It's not that I have an approach. It's just, I guess it's a signature sound that I kind of just hear in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And, I do kind of adjust things as we go, or whatever I'm playing with, whoever I'm playing with.
Right.
And if I'm playing pretty much behind somebody, or, it kind of depends. You kind of tailor it a little bit,
Right.
But the signature thing is pretty much always there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the sound, and I think it's the touch and the feel. It's always pretty much there.
Right.
So, and you just adjust it depending on what the record is, or what the song is, or who the band is, And I've been pretty lucky to get away with that, because a lot of people don't get away with that, just that, that kind of thing,
Right.
But But yeah, it's been a blast. It's
Yeah.
been a blast just watching and learning and always learning. You know,
Right.
some sounds don't work, some sounds do. You know, and to me, it's a journey. It's a experimental approach. That's the way I kind of look at the whole thing. Every session, every artist, everything you deal with is another kind of, experiment, and you experiment with it.
Sure.
Because some things just don't work. And so and me being around for so long, it's like I'm used to being kind of rejected and oh that ain't gonna work. As a matter of fact, when I took this idea to Detroit when we first got with George and Parliament Funkadelic, the head engineer, Jim Vitti, who's my boy, man. I mean that cat, I learned a lot of stuff from him, But he was the main guy that as soon as he see me coming, it was like, oh man, here come Bootsy with them damn pedals, man. He started thinking about his job and what he got to do to,
Right.
oh man, I got to plug all that in, and this, that. It's
right.
like, so he hated to see me coming, and so I had to get over that part of it. It's like, oh man, Jim, no, So I already know how he feels about the setup, So it's like that kind of brings me down, and I'm creative, I got this song, I'm ready to, and then I look at Jim and Jim be like, oh, So, it's like, I had to get my confidence thing up, the songs had me so, the ideas and stuff had me so elated that when I saw Jim, it didn't do nothing, it didn't bother me like that.
Right.
It was like, oh, plug that up, Jim, let's hit it,
Right.
And that was the whole rap, hit it,
Right.
And so once he started doing it, and once we got the first record out, and people started like, oh, okay. So, then the feedback started coming in, and Jim started smiling,
Right.
I didn't go in there and say, see, I told you. I didn't do that, know. It's like, I was glad he was happy, because he was glad to see me. I would come in, Jim, hey, Bootsy, what's happening? Well, how much you got today with you? What you got? What you want me to plug in? So, it was a different
Right.
thing. And see, when he started doing that, it was like we became best of buzz. He would show me stuff, how you do this, the EQ and this, that, and the other. He started, he started being a friend and an engineer.
Right.
As opposed to, hating to see me come, and I'm like the enemy, it's like, no, Jim, I'm not the enemy.
Right. Right.
So, it took us a while to get to that. We got to that. Once we got to there, it's like getting to the sweet spot. Then I started adding on and seeing what I could do, what I couldn't do, and he helped me, So it was a journey. The experiment never stops. I do a lot of experimental, with the sounds and stuff and the pedals, and man, it's just, I think that's part of the stuff that keeps me going.
Right.
Because it's not just plugging it in and let's play, because everybody can do that.
Right.
I like to shape sounds, and I like to mess with stuff that I hear, and see if I can recreate that. So it's a fun journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun thing.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
That ties into a quote I saw from you in an interview that I thought was really cool, which was something along the lines of creativity calls for change.
Yeah.
I thought that was really great.
Yeah. And that's to me, that's always true. That's always true. No matter what you come up with, no matter how many hits you got, no matter what it is or how great you are, it's about that change, man.
Right.
And always be looking forward to it.
Right. Right.
Always be looking for it. I'm just glad that I was able to get through to this point where I can see the changes, not, have the changes go on and you don't see them and it's changing and leaving you out,
Right.
Some kind of way I'm still in there, you know, and I just love change.
Right. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
embrace it, because most musicians, it's hard for musicians though, because you know, it's, can you imagine like when the acoustic guitars come in, or when the acoustic piano was just, you know, I mean, that was the thing, you know, and the acoustic guitars was, you know, that was the thing.
Right.
And then you got this electric mess, you know. It's like, man, I mean, so you know, you have to just imagine, you know. Well, I went through it, so I know what it was like. But you know, the younger people that's coming, they have no idea how that change happened and how it affected musicians.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then when the drum machines came in, oh man, they have no idea how that affected drummers.
Right.
You know, drummers was like, man, we don't have gigs no more. I mean, you know, all they do is take this drum machine and they program it. I mean, everybody was mad, you
Right.
know. And then the synth basses came out. All the bass players was mad. I mean, so every section pretty much went through it,
Right.
you know. And these are things that, you know, musicians had a hard time, and a lot of them still do have a hard time with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had Bernie Worrell right with me. So it was like, I got a chance to go through that change with him,
Right.
you know, and he'd help me and I'd help him. So it was easier for me,
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, while it was changing, I was part of the change, you know, and it didn't affect me like that, you know,
Right.
or however it affected me, it helped me to grow into whatever I am today. And I don't claim to be none, you know, whatever people say, that's great, but I don't claim to be none of it, you know. I'm just glad that I was able to get through those changes and to get to the other changes that's coming, because I see them.
Right.
You know, I see them. I'm just, I don't understand why I'm still here with it, you know, but I'm glad.
Right.
I'm glad to be in the picture. You know, I don't want to be the whole picture. Just let me tiptoe in there a little bit,
Right.
you know, a little pee on it a little bit here, pee on it a little bit there, pee on it a little bit there, and I'm cool,
Sure.
you know.
The change is going to come, so you may
Yeah.
as well be
Yeah.
positive about
Yeah.
it and move
Yeah.
forward.
Well, see, that's you know, that's what I'm saying. It's like musicians have a difficult time. We got to learn how to breathe, you know, because it's deep, but it ain't that deep. I mean, you know, we
Right.
just have to, you know, we have to grow with it, you know. And a lot of musicians just don't want to hear it, you know. But you know, I mean, I've actually seen musicians just, you know, fall by the wayside because of the change, you know.
Right.
And they just completely just give up. Just, you know, I've had it, you know. I've seen upright bass players, like, you know, just, you know, throw it all to the side. Now, you know, upright bass players are gravitating toward the electric now, you know, and there's no thought about it.
Right.
It's like, man, I want to be in on, if you need, you know, you need electric bass over there, okay. You know, even though, you know, I play upright,
Mm-hmm.
but I play electric too. So, you know, it's gravitating towards the things, and make sure, what I used to say to drummers was, man, if they don't want to, you know, a live drummer, you better learn how to play that Linn drum, you know, because that's what I was doing. I was learning how to, you know, program my own beats, and then, you know, I
Sure.
wasn't supposed to be able to do that. I mean, you know, but, you know, I figured, like, if that's what it is, that's what it is, you
Right.
know, because Bernie was taking a lot of flack because, you know, he was playing synthesizers, you know, and everybody knew him for playing the B3 organ or the piano,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and, you know, he was taking flack, you know, so we kind of took flack together,
Sure.
you know, and it was like, whatever y'all think, man, this is what I like, you know, I'm just into, you know, destroying sounds. You know?
That's awesome. There's a lot of wisdom there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on. So the new album, Worldwide Funk, is
Yeah.
out. So many great players on there. Yourself, obviously, but Victor Wooten, Stanley Clark,
Yes.
Buckethead. I mean, the list goes on and on and on
Yeah.
of all the amazing people that you brought together and great songs and everything. So,
Yeah.
congratulations on that. We're glad to have new music from you.
Thank you. I'm just, again, you know, there's a lot of young people that I got a chance to work with as well, and that was another pleasant thing for me, you know, to experience, because the young energy. I see why now, like with James Brown when he got us, you know, we were like young energy, and we were fast, you know, we were moving, we was up, you know. He was like, slow down, son, slow down. I understand that now.
Yeah.
You know, because you know, got all these young mugs around, they all giddy, you know, can't wait to, you know. It's like, okay, hold up, it's coming. The one is coming. Hold up, wait a minute. You know, so it's a good thing, man. So we got a platform to kind of showcase. You know, musicians have kind of lost the showcasing part of it, you know, because we had all the clubs, all the places to play, you know, and it was like every week we were like playing, you know. We were practicing or playing,
Right.
you know. And now it's a whole different, you know, you have to play with yourself, you know. Man, I don't want to play with myself. I want to play with somebody else, you know. But it's a different ball game
Sure.
today, you know. And you don't learn how to play with other people. I was talking to Thad, and he was telling me how, you know, you got the kid thing going on.
Yeah, the rock camps that we do here, right?
And getting them to play with each other. That's what it's, to me, that's what it's all about. Because that's like a lost art that's being thrown out. It's like the baby getting thrown out with the dishwater, you
Right.
know. But it's like, you don't want to throw that away. No matter what the change is, you know, we're going to change. We're going to do that. But don't throw that stuff away.
Right.
You know, you can keep both. You know, it's just like analog and digital. Why throw one of them away? You know,
Sure.
use both. You know, whatever makes you feel great, do it. You know,
Right.
but don't say, I mean, you know, don't just throw that one away.
Right.
If that makes you feel good, you're welcome to it. You know, and I think it's our attitudes towards things that I think kind of mess us up as a race, as a people. You know, and it's like, you know, we gotta lighten up. It ain't that deep. You know,
Sure.
it ain't that deep. We just want to play and we just want to have fun and do our thing and be different and do this and do that. That's all great, you know. We just got to allow each other the space to do it, you know. And, you know, we were so stupid when we was coming up. We didn't nobody have to allow us nothing. We just went for it.
Sure.
You know, we was that stupid, you know. But now people can't be stupid because you can't get lost.
Mm-hmm.
You know that saying, oh, you just go get lost. Go get lost. You can't get lost anymore.
Right.
Why? Because the GPS will not allow you to get lost, you know? But getting lost was the fun part for us, the experience of getting lost.
Mm-hmm.
Lost in the groove, you know? Lost down there with that chick at the park, you know, and you tell her you can't find your way back, you know, and you lying like a dog, you know? You know, but that experience of getting lost was the thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that happens in music as well, you know, getting lost in the groove and, you know, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going. That's pretty much my motto, you know. It's like, well, how do you write a song? I don't know how I do it. It just comes,
Right.
you know. The universe has got ways of directing, you know. My whole thing now is stay behind the script. You know, and we as humans, as people, we like to get before the script. And when you get before the script, you're on your own. You know, I learned how to, let's play behind the script, man. You know, script read, you know, show us how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and from day one, the script has been correct. You know, now I jump out in front of it, I blow. You know, And you know, it's a thing we have to check ourselves, not somebody else to check you. You know, we need to check ourselves. And musicians are definitely some sensitive human beings, and us of all people, we have to be the first ones to check ourselves. You know, because if we don't, things will get ahead of us. You know,
Right.
and you know, and it can be kind of crucial.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just rattling like a mug.
It's all good
you know.
stuff. It's all great stuff. Richard, thanks so much for coming in today. We appreciate your time.
Man.
It's such a pleasure
Thank
to meet you.
Thank you.
Had a great time having you here. And go down the slide, man.
Yeah.
You gotta go down the slide and try
well,
that out.
I'm gonna mention that because I see now I'm not gonna get out of here.
Don't want to
too-
miss that.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Right on.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute. I'm Mitch Gallagher.
Awesome.